Hi, I'm Jessica Hunley, and I am the Family and Consumer Science Agent in Madison County. Today, I am presenting the second lesson for Kentucky Extension homemakers in the Bluegrass area. Have you ever found yourself caring for little ones unexpectedly, or maybe you watch children on a regular basis, but you find yourself either scrambling for things to do or you're constantly hearing, "I'm bored." Well, today I'm going to offer you some help in entertaining children so that you all can make the most of your time together. Welcome to Entertaining Children, Leader Lesson for the Bluegrass Area and Kentucky Extension Homemakers, presented by Jessica Hunley, University of Kentucky Family and Consumer Science Extension Agent in Madison County. The program goal for this lesson is to provide caretakers with helpful suggestions to create learning and engaging routines for their children. Some objectives of this lesson are to identify steps that determine fun learning activities, create a 5-day activity routine with additional activities, and provide free digital resources for rainy days. No matter if you spent just a little bit of time with young children or you spend a lot of time with children, it's no secret that it can be a daunting and difficult task. Some challenges to entertaining children can be their attention span, the areas of interest or commonalities with you, the time that you're allotted, the access to the materials that you have. Sometimes the weather comes into play, and even their behavior, which is a whole other subject, can come into play when you are trying to plan out activities with them. There will be 3 learning objectives with this lesson. First, we're going to identify steps to determine fun learning activities. Fun, of course, can be subjective for you or the child, so we're going to try to explore opportunities that can be a positive learning environment for both you and the kids. We're going to create a 5-day activity routine with additional activities, and we're going to provide some free digital resources in the event that you get through your activity planner and you still have some free time and need some more options before they exhaust you. Before we dive into some activities, first let's talk about the opposite of having all these activities, which is boredom. The area of technology has created an overwhelming amount of information and distractions, which reduces attention. Taking a break until the point of boredom can actually indicate an overloaded brain is relaxing. Boredom also increases creativity by providing an opportunity to reflect and spend time wandering and daydreaming. One study showed that useful ideas are more likely discovered when conducting mundane tasks, suggesting that we think in different ways in the absence of external stimulation. Along those lines, additional research indicates that boredom is a catalyst for novelty. In other words, it is only when we are dissatisfied with the status quo that new ideas and practices are established. Finally, learning to endure boredom early in life is a great preparation for developing self-control skills of regulating one's thoughts, emotions, and actions. Let's take a look at a little clip on boredom.
In a recent study, participants were placed in a room for between 6 and 15 minutes. They were given nothing except a button that they knew would shock them if they pressed it. They were asked to entertain themselves with their thoughts, but they could self-administer the shock if they so chose. So what happened? Well, 25% of women and 67% of men shocked themselves. This is despite the fact that they had previously told the experimenters that they would pay money to avoid the shock. Apparently, they'd rather experience physical pain than just be bored, to have nothing to keep them occupied but their thoughts. But they are not alone. Around 95% of American adults report participating in some leisure activities over the past 24 hours, but only 17% say they spent any time at all just relaxing and thinking. Because that, apparently, is boring, and being bored is unpleasant. So what is boredom? Well, contrary to popular belief, it's not when you have absolutely nothing to do. It's just when none of the options you have available to you appeal to you. Boredom is characterized by a lack of concentration, restlessness, but also feeling lethargic. It's really a state of being underwhelmed. And there are now more ways than ever to avoid boredom. With Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, not to mention my chronic news habit, waiting in line, sitting in a coffee shop, stopped at a traffic light, many people reach for their phones to stave off boredom. And nowhere is sacred. Do you ever just let yourself be bored? No, I generally don't. But are we losing anything by avoiding boredom? Well, scientific research says yes. And what we're losing is important. When you're bored, your mind wanders. That's only natural. The state of boredom is one where your attention is not focused on anything in particular. Researchers have shown this mind wandering is useful for creativity. They gave study participants a random boring task. The most boring one, reading the phone book. Then they asked participants to be creative, generate as many ideas as they could for what you could do with a plastic cup. Those in the most boring read the phone book condition generated the most creative solutions compared to less bored controls. A major reason many researchers suspect that we experience boredom is because it gives you an indicator of your current state. I mean, if you find yourself feeling bored, you know something about that situation isn't working for you. Let me ask you this. When you're in class and you're a bit bored, do you ever just pull out your phone and have a look at stuff? Yeah, all the time. Yeah. So the paradox of boredom is that it makes you feel tired, sluggish, and just disinterested. But it may actually spur you to action. It may get you to make changes that would be positive for your life. And changes like getting this guy's legs out of my face. That would be perfect. In the absence of boredom, one would remain trapped in unfulfilling situations and miss out on many emotionally, cognitively, and socially rewarding experiences. Boredom is both a warning that we're not doing what we want to be doing and a push that motivates us to switch goals and projects. Studies have also shown that boredom may make you more altruistic. Perhaps the acute sense of aimlessness you experience when you're bored gets out of control and makes you question what you're doing with your life as a whole. But the silver lining is that it may trigger you to think about others and what you can do to help them. And that provides an immediate and concrete purpose to a life that might momentarily feel like it's lacking one. You know, studies designed to induce boredom have shown that more bored participants are more likely to donate to charity or to give blood. Can I ask what led you to donate blood today?
I had free time in my head, just waiting for 2 hours after the half or so.
So apparently, the opportunity to do meaningful, even if unpleasant activities have more value if you're bored than if you're not. Similarly, this aimless state seems to cultivate thoughts about what you want to do with your life. To think of your life as a story and consider where you want it to go in the future. This is called autobiographical planning. When given tasks that only use a fraction of mental capacity, study participants frequently thought of the future and their plans for it. In this way, being bored is essential for goal setting. If your brain is always consumed with other stimuli, you'll rarely ponder the bigger picture and set long-term goals for yourself and consider how to achieve them. Does a phone get rid of your boredom?
Yeah, actually, thinking about it, it does.
So every time you're waiting for something, you have a decision to make, which seems like a tiny one. Pull out your phone for a few seconds or minutes, or just be bored. Experience only your thoughts. It seems like an insignificant decision. And if you don't give it much thought, the obvious action is to see what's new on your app of choice. And in making that decision, you are alleviating a moment of boredom. But you are also likely making yourself less creative, less altruistic, less likely to assess your current state, and less likely to set goals for your future. In short, you are the real-world example of someone shocking themselves to avoid the unpleasantness of boredom. Except in your case, the pain goes much deeper to the very nature of who you are and who you will become. So think carefully before pressing that button.
Let's recap from the video. Boredom versus hyperplaning. We need to be careful to not verge on too closely on either side of this line. Overplaning and hyperplaning dampers creativity and discourages forward thinking. It keeps students from planning and sequencing activities or events, or understanding what may come next in their downtime. Over-planning creates stagnant people who oftentimes become sedentary and complacent without having another task to look forward to. There is a required balance between stimulation and boredom to establish productivity within both children and adults. Before we go making any activity planners, let's take another look at something else. Activity in children. We need to be mindful and intentional about the amount of activity that we offer our kids. On average, children now spend less time outdoors than a prison inmate. Take note of the inmates and their accounts in this video and how they feel as they would lose their outdoor time. And then let's transfer that thought to what children might think and feel if they're restricted from having these opportunities in their life.
I didn't know what freedom was until it was taken from me. It's devastating. I've had who I am inside stripped away. You can never escape the walls. You can never escape your mind. Then imagine they open your door. You have time to walk out that door and feel the sun on your face. It's everything to me.
Daily outdoors time, I think it's probably the most important part of my day.
Take all the frustrations and all your problems and just leave them out there.
Keeps my mind right, keeps my body strong.
It's pretty much the highlight of my day.
So, how would you feel if your yard time was reduced to just 1 hour a day?
Yeah. What, am I supposed to tell you how I feel about that?
I'm going to feel pretty sad about it.
I think that's going to build more anger, it's not going to be a good time. Would be torture.
I think cutting the offender's outside time to an hour a day is potentially disastrous.
Well, do you know who does have only 1 hour outdoors per day? Children.
Wow.
That's depressing. I don't even know what to say to that.
Something has gone very wrong.
Even as I sit in here and as a prisoner, I mean, yeah, that's not good.
If you don't have to throw the kids in the bathtub, they haven't played hard enough.
Climb a tree, break a leg. You know, that's part of life.
Learn to be a kid.
So, if you could have one wish, what would it be?
I wish I could take my kid to a park today.
Okay, let's get on to the good stuff, into the entertaining. This is going to be a 3-step process. The first thing that we're going to do, we're going to make a list of your children's favorite activities. Sometimes presenting this to the children as a challenge can be helpful. So saying something like, I bet you can't think of 5 things to do in the kitchen, or I bet you can't think of 5 things that you want to do this weekend, or just make it a challenge and really help them to be creative and think of new ways that they can come up with things to do. Maybe you have a certain prop at your house that you like that you would prefer them to use, or certain toys that they prefer to play with. Use those as kind of a pawn in their strategy of deciding their activities. The next step would to make sure to write them down. So that way, when the next time that you hear, I'm bored, you can quickly hand them their list and remind them that there are lots of things they like to do, and when they see that they have created that list, it gives them a sense of ownership and reminds them that yes, that is truly something that you're not delegating for them, but they have chosen to do on their own. The third step would be to help brainstorm these activities. So sometimes they need a little bit of help. Start with indoor activities and then work around room by room to ensure you don't miss anything. Then ask about outdoor activities, activities that they can do by themselves, activities that they need to do with others. Sometimes these activities are something they can do every day, or sometimes it's only on a special occasion. So something that may be seasonal, like going to the apple orchard, or maybe it's a beach trip, you know, those kinds of things that are seasonal need to be taken into account. But maybe there's an activity that they can do that they like to do every day. And let's try to kind of vary off of those a little bit. Teaching your child to brainstorm will pay off if they haven't experienced 4th grade yet. That is when most school systems are starting to introduce brainstorming into their writing process. And they'll thank you when it comes time for class. After you all have made the compilation list of activities, then you're going to sit down and you're going to work together to plan your week. So maybe you sit down with some themes, or kind of pick out, maybe look at your weather and, you know, pick out which days look the best for which kind of activities. Each day could change complexity and variability. For instance, maybe if you have a walk in the woods, one day it's an adventure as a pirate and you're exploring a new island, or maybe you're a mermaid in the deep ocean with all sorts of new things to discover. And then you just kind of change it up a little bit to where it encompasses a broad spectrum of things. Be sure that you include your outdoor time, but also be sure to include some downtime for them too. You notice naps are encouraged here on Tune Down Tuesday. So for like Monday here, we have explore nature in the woods, become characters in a book. Circle back home for nature that shows and explores and discovers the natural world. So that's kind of all of the theme for Monday. Tuesday, listening to music and dancing. Maybe it's in pajamas and you have a pajama day, or make Tuesday a Chef Boyardee day. Wednesday could be awards for your baked goods. So maybe, you know, your Wednesday is going to spin off of your Tuesday if you have that kind of time to work with your kiddos. Thursday was Theatrical Thursday. These things are so much fun. You can record these and keep as a keepsake later. This is great for senior night when they're looking back, and great opportunity to embarrass your kids with some fun things that y'all did. So it says have your children write, direct, and star in a home video. Be sure to include costumes, background music, and guest appearances. Be sure to record it. Fun Day Friday, break out the games. Maybe you pull out all the video, or not the video games, but the board games. You could do video games, I guess. And maybe there's something for the overall winner, you know, just something that you all plan and deem as an important prize there, something that you've all worked together towards. In the supplies that you will have received for this lesson, you should have a publication and a facilitator's guide, and then the other thing that you should have would be the activity schedule for the week. So if you did not get one of those, you can reach out to me and I'll be glad to share my copy, but it's going to be a 5-day activity routine that looks similar to the one on the previous slide. Something that maybe you want to laminate it and do a dry erase marker on it, or you could even do Sharpie and alcohol. We'll take it right back off, but that's just a thought that might help you keep it organized for you and your crew. After you have created your activity for your kiddos, here is a list that you might be able to go through and fill in some holes or some blanks. These are some other fun activities. Go Noodle and YouTube. There's Kids YouTube that is restricted to content that's age appropriate. Go Noodle is something that you can log into online. They have lots of song and dances, and kids really love this stuff. They get up there and dance with the screens and stuff, and it's a whole lot of fun. Cincinnati Zoo offers some virtual field trips. You can get on there and check those out. Mo Willems does Lunch Doodles. They're free online tutorials. You can look those up, and I think some of those are on YouTube as well. You can do indoor and outdoor scavenger hunts. You can FaceTime with your friends and family, maybe somebody that you don't get to see on a regular basis. That can always be a fun time to catch up. Another activity you could do would be making greeting cards for friends, families, and strangers. I know Christmas time, we love to make Christmas cards for people in the nursing homes and distribute those has been a joy to see the look on their faces for them to get mail. You could build forts inside and out, allow the siblings to have sleepovers, or host a home improvement show and showcase their sweet new pad. There's cooking and food prep demos with the kids. They're sure to get into that. And you can involve your kids in the daily chores. So again, you're kind of making it a competition with each other so that they learn the duties of being organized and the importance of contributing, but make it fun so that they don't necessarily dread it every day. If you're looking for some more ideas for some online fun on rainy days, you can also get on PBS Kids. They have some colorful animated things. Pinkalicious, if you're familiar with that story. There's some math on there with Arthur, and you can make some art with Peg and Cat if any of those characters interest your kiddos. Duck Duck Moose is another online site that is free and interactive as well. It's through Khan Academy, which is also listed in here in just a few minutes. Lots of interactive learning games there on Duck Duck Moose. Go Noodle, we mentioned. You can get on there and do all kinds of dance and yoga and keep them active. National Geographic for Kids has digital books, videos, games, those sorts of things that the kids can log on there and learn some things, take little quizzes, kind of challenge themselves for some new content that maybe that they don't get to see on a daily basis. And here again we have Khan Academy. Khan Academy is nonprofit, offers math, science, arts, and humanities curriculum, some test prep for older students. I'm not really sure on the age range on this, but I do know it's not preschool based. Duolingo is a free language learning app, up to 23 languages, so that can always be fun for kiddos. They, especially preschool, kindergarten age kids, they love it when they can learn new words in another language. They think they're big stuff then, so that's always kind of fun. Smithsonian Institute has several online resources, animal cams that you can watch, musical recordings, geography from space, lots of various things that they may not have been introduced to just yet, so that can maybe hold their attention for a little while. Following up here with some more early learning resources. Starfall, pre-K through grades 3, math, reading, writing, music, and some seasonal lessons. I know my kiddos were introduced to this during school, so maybe sometimes if they already have an account on Starfall, it's something that they will like to follow up with. They're already familiar with it. Time for Kids has got some articles, photos, videos, covers a very wide range of topics that can be fun and interactive for these kids. How Stuff Works, this is a website that I blundered into as I was trying to finish up these slides and had a lot of interesting things to offer as well. And Kahoot is a game-based learning. It's got some quizzes on there that the kids can take, and it has that interactive component. Kahoot also, they may be familiar with from their school. So sometimes it's fun for them to have something that they think that they can show you, something that they're familiar with, and they most likely can run it on their own. So it's kind of a fun thing to get into with them. And one last slide of some more online learning opportunities. You've got Fun Brain, math, reading, online books, and learning games from preschool to 8th grade, so pretty wide range there that it can cater to. Nick Jr., if they're familiar with some of the characters there from the TV shows, then that might be a good option for you to kind of explore. Highlights Magazine. Yes, it's online now. I know growing up, Highlights Magazine was one of the things I looked forward to every month in the mail, and now it's online, so might be a good opportunity to kind of reach out and explore that. And lastly, Disney Junior Fans. A lot like Nick Jr., if you have kiddos that are particularly interested in some of those characters, those can be some really fun things to get into with them. There's memory game, hand-eye coordination, color matching, those kinds of things. At this time, we'd like to take the opportunity for you all to share amongst your group any other resources, both online or in person, that you know of in your area that you could share with those around you. Something to keep in mind is that it's important while keeping our children engaged in fun learning activities. We know it's a difficult task. However, having a planned routine can help provide the structure and not leave us hanging when one activity we have planned doesn't work out for one reason or another. Just having this plan in place helps the day go smoothly for both you all and the kids, to kind of hold that structure together for them and on the schedule. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this lesson. If anybody has any questions, your agent should be there with you to help kind of facilitate that. If there is anything that I can help with, please feel free to reach out to me directly, and I will do the best I can to help you as well. Thank you all.